Hello,
thank you for being with us. We're here in our New Life series, educational series with Dr. Michael Leitman. Hello, Dr. Leitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitza Mazuz. Hello. We're learning from Rav Leitman how to create our life here in Israel as Israeli society, as the new society, how to build new life in which each of us as an individual and all of us together can begin to enjoy life. We can enjoy living together. We'll know what the connection is between us, connecting us, what insights it brings with it that we can learn, and how we can manage our lives wisely here in Israel. And each time we'll take a different aspect of our life. And today we want to focus on the connections between us, on the relations between us, between man and his friend, how we can make it more enhanced, more improved. Nitza, get us into the discussion. So in the last talk, you told us about gossip and slander, and we learned that this phenomenon that's so natural and prevalent nowadays, it really damages us today, even in a more significant and powerful manner, because we live in some very tight network. And we understood that the subject of slander and gossip, apart from it being unpleasant and not nice that we knew today, it truly creates terrible damage, and it damages each of us. We each understand by the fact that we are part of a system that with this interaction of slander, they're hurt, even if they're the one telling it or even the person just hearing it, even the person just receiving the knowledge, it's already damaged. Now, when I told it to my friends, they said nobody wants to damage themselves, so it was clear that we had to do some kind of talk, workshop about it. So I invited friends over. I have 10 friends, women that from all kinds of professions. Some are married, some are not. And we had a workshop. We all know about slander and gossip. We all know it up close. And we want to know what we can do, what kind of exercises we can do to prevent situations like this and not damage ourselves. It doesn't come all of a sudden at once, this awareness that our nature is evil. Our desire is the foundation of a person, because all parts of reality, inanimate, animate, vegetative, and man, the human part, they're all different from one another, and each one is different from us. Let's say in humanity, in the flora, in the animal kingdom, each is different in their shape and form of their desire. The desire is the foundation of every creature. And in man, as we said, it doesn't exist in instinctive balance in nature, but rather it has a desire that's above nature, and this desire is opposite to nature, which comes to take a person out of nature, that a person will manage his life the way he wants to, according to his personal desire. The evil inclination, evil desire, means that I don't take anything into consideration with what's happening with my environment. Inanimate, animate are in a system, and they instinctively are connected to it, and we see that even if they are eating each other, using each other, struggling with one another, it's all according to the laws of nature. They are awakened in them, and they manage them. And a person, the laws of nature, the instructions from nature that are awakened in a man and activate us, their instructions, their commands that we don't want to take into account for anyone else except for ourselves. So to the extent that I'm afraid that it might damage me or I see the damage, to this extent I I prevent myself from using the bad inside me. But to the extent that I know that I can break out and pressure and manage and control, there's no brakes on me, I use it. My inclination, my natural urge from nature is such that I want to control everything. And in this control itself, I find my pleasure for going on. And along with that, I'm not even aware to what extent I'm harming myself. Only in the last period, when the connection between us starts closing and we begin to feel ourselves dependent on one another, here a thought awakens. How can we arrange a connection between us that we are dependent on one another? That my influence on my fellow man won't influence back on me in a bad way. And then it turns out that I see myself each day in a clearer manner, so that each bad influence to society comes back at me and to everyone, and from everyone to me and me to everyone. We are in a desperate situation. On the side of my inner urges, I always want to take advantage of everyone. I always want to do bad to everyone, to take them down as much as possible, to use them without taking anyone into consideration. And on the other hand, I begin to discover how I relate to others in this manner. The more I do it, I see that I'm ruining the way they relate to me, and in that, I'm also not enjoying myself. Meaning, if once upon a time I could relate in a bad, mutual manner to everyone, today, because the greatness of the evil has reached such dimensions that it's allowed us to control. This evil is also controlling us. The network is closed off. And then we see everyone's in a situation where at any moment anything can happen to them. And we can't control ourselves. We can't control our lives. We can't manage our lives. We're dependent on thousands of elements. And all these elements are bad elements. They're damaging, threatening us. And our life begins to be like a jungle. There it's arranged according to nature. Our life becomes very miserable. In that we're destroying ourselves, families, children, education, the ecology, culture, education. Everything's becoming destroyed. And all this destruction in humanity is only from man's nature. So the solution for this started lately. We need to give a solution because we're also destroying the connections, the financial, economic connections between us. That if we won't be able to arrange them, we won't have what to eat. We won't even be able to exist in a basic manner with our basic necessities. We've reached a stage where the lack of correct connection between us, it's threatening our very existence, our life. We didn't think of it before. And then we built all kinds of laws, how much we can go into the other person or not, how much it's what's called standard gossip, and whether we need to go to court, etc. But now we're already talking about situations where we can no longer suffer it. And humanity is desperate, like some small boy that doesn't know what to do. He's in fear, he's threatened, he doesn't know where to run to. It's like he's being closed in on from all sides. And before, we didn't feel that it was closing us off from all sides because this total network connecting us wasn't revealed yet. But now that it's like that, I see that the world is terrible. Before, it wasn't so bad. But in the last few dozen years, we already feel that it's terrible. And even though there's people that still want to make money, or some people say this is life and we'll just go on. But if we're talking in a more mature manner, how to improve something, that descending more is endangering our existence of all of humanity. And we're already talking in a simple manner about a world war, atomic war, and all kinds of things that we may head towards such terrible blows from nature that we won't be able to deal with them. We're already agreeing with whatever happens will happen. We'll go with the flow. Therefore, from all these things, you can go on about this forever, but I don't want to. Turns out that the only thing that is the bad element is man's nature. And if we don't correct man's nature, we won't be able to survive. We started our retreat from that same life that we had 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago. We're parachuting downward. And very quickly we're spiraling downward. And what we have ahead of us, like the sociologists say and scientists, we are truly under a very great threat from that same system that we built. Because the system, as we are now revealing, as we're now discovering, influences the outer nature, the ecology, the environment, that we will destroy ourselves. So the correction of man, that is essentially the problem ahead of us. And it's not for nothing that we see that at its foundation of the correct way to relate to one another between people, we have that same that's saying, love another as thyself. Good, ancient, accepted by everyone, and unfortunately not implemented by anyone. How do we reach precisely from hatred to love? That is actually the foundation, the main point that we need to think about. And can we reach some global solution which doesn't appear to be so realistic? We see that the ego between countries is greater than between small people. And there's a lot of civilizations that also belong to religions. There's a lot of problems. Therefore, approaching it from a global perspective to change it, that's not for us, let's say. In the meantime, at least at the same level of the question that you're asking, that me with my friends, we want to arrange our lives, at least we're connected to life, we're connected to one another. We meet all the time. Each of us has our family. We live by ourselves. Let's make some small society in which we're also talking all the time and we live among us, that we have good relations between us, and we'll build for ourselves some kind of society that will feel ourselves comfortable and that we have good relations. We'll feel comfortable, relaxed. So how can we do it? For that, I think there can be a solution only through talking that precisely women like, but in a certain framework, in a program, in the correct program, that if we do this, then we'll reach some nice summary, some nice result. So we need, first of all, to speak about these stages, about the man's nature, and not attribute it to ourselves. And in general, man's nature, the general nature, the difference between man and nature, the evil inclination in him, how much he is managed badly by the bad nature in him, and desires, perspective, how he relates to the world, everything he sees in the world. He sees everything in a competitive manner, how to keep himself above others, maintain himself higher than others. Things we spoke about a lot. That first of all, to verify who we are and what world we're in, what environment we're in. That's one thing. The other thing, we have to speak about the good situation. We have to imagine it as good. The good way to relate to our fellow man. Let's say us, each of us, to their friends, in the framework of our closer society. How I try to be good to everyone. And in that, I discover myself that being good to everyone, I can only do on the condition that I rise above my ego. How can I rise above my ego? Who can help me with that? I'm not capable. I'm always discovering that I'm inside. How do I rise above it? And here we have precisely a very simple method. We see how much we're dependent on our environment. If the environment, if our friends will talk now about love, about a consideration of paying attention to one another, that they will give me an example in that, that they will speak about what a supreme thing this is, whether I like it or not, what a lofty thing it is. I'll also begin thinking like that because they influenced me. The influence of the environment on a person is total. I have no possibility of overcoming myself except through the environment that will force me, by its influence on me, to overcome my nature. And it won't be difficult for me. It won't be difficult. They'll brainwash me. I'll get an example from them because I get impressions from them all the time. So I'll be getting good impressions from them, and I'll always think in that manner. So what we need to build a fake society, an artificial society, as if we're already in the corrected format. 10 corrected women sitting together, talking about love, about connecting, about mutual bestowal, how I see everyone in a nice manner, successful, pretty, pleasant, devoted to relatives, family, to humanity, to us, to everyone between us. Always talk about how important it is, to how possible it is, how much we can give an example like this to one another. And this will influence everyone, for sure. And it won't be difficult for anyone to carry this out. And we'll suddenly begin to feel in these new artificial relations between us that truly we're acquiring there some new sensation, new attributes, new perspective. It will awaken from inside. Suddenly I begin to discover that by relating like this, by their influence, I look at life and them in a new manner, that I want to contribute, to give, to help, to love, to always be ready to serve them, etc. Suddenly, I begin to feel that there's a new power in it. There's something big, high about it. Very special. There's something noble about it. I get great powers because we're all integrated in one another. So I get 10 times more power than I had on my own. And it, of course, helps overcoming the evil in me and existing in a nice manner, in a good manner, in harmony with everyone. What did we actually do? The same thing that nature didn't do on purpose to us, on the degree, on the speaking human degree, like it did to the other 3 degrees, inanimate, vegetative, animate. We built nature. We built an environment that artificially we completed it to influence us. And then we exist in a nice way. What's the deal? It's very special that we ourselves are actually building this nature in a good manner, the environment that will influence us. I build it, the nature. I build the environment, the nature. And nature influences me, and then I again influence nature. I change the environment more, and the environment influences me even more, meaning I complete the level of human from that same part of nature that's missing. And in that, I'm completing this entire huge building that is called reality, or in the general nature. And in that, I begin to get the general program, forces, the general program of nature, its internalness, to see how great it is and how wide it is. I get from that powers, forces, and a brain to manage myself through that same environment, to manage all of humanity through that same environment. And it turns out that in this manner, life opens up before me. In that, I open a road, a wide road to succeed in everything and to identify with all of reality, to be truly above everyone and not to be the worst and the most damaging from everyone. That's what opens up. And that's what comes from a little group, 10 men or women, or mixed, doesn't matter, that we agreed to behave in this manner. This is actually the principle. This is the principle, if I understood correctly, this is the principle for anything we'll want to deal with. And then this way we can correct anything. But let's say we came together here for a very specific subject. We want a workshop about gossip. We had a very wide picture where I understand a lot of things come into it, including gossip. I want to zoom in. I want to focus only about slander and gossip. How do we overcome it? Something in our daily, I call her and tell her about bad women, even good things, not just bad things, good things that you know that you're getting love out to the world. That's great. Hang on. Okay. What are really the conditions? How do we know? It's simple. Am I with this increasing the good influence between us and our relation, because all of society from this moment on is existing only to strengthen the good relations with the participation of everyone between us. On all our crimes will be covered with love. We only talk about the good things. That's it. That means that I have sort of a filter. Before I even mention something, that I'm going to say something, I ask myself the question, is what I'm about to say now, am I going to strengthen the connection between us? If the answer is yes, then I can talk about it. If the answer is no, then I stop. Yes, yes. That's what I need to do, yes. Sounds really simple. We'll hear about it. I'm not sure I can carry it out. With the influence of the environment, it will be easy. The environment has to look after it. And here we're touching another aspect, not the verbal part, but our thoughts and desires. That if we want it, if we think like this between us, then in that we're also holding one another. In our thoughts, we already spoke about us all being partners in thoughts and desires, that it's one network, the connection between us. If I think good, then I'm helping everyone to think good. As childish, as small as it looks, our thought is the greatest power in reality. Therefore, if we begin to organize ourselves in that manner, we're preventing from ourselves all the bad that will come up in our thoughts or desires. Okay. I have questions. I wanted to ask you, you said before that when we talk bad or think badly, it's as if we're creating like garbage between us in this common network. Now, if we do the opposite, if we think good, or if we want good for our fellow man, then we're rising above the garbage. We're not dealing with it at the moment. We're rising above it as if it's not there. All crimes will be covered with love. We're covering it, this bad between us. It's just gone. From this moment, only good. The correction begins from the fact that now we want to be good kids. From this moment on, the past is, forget it. We're not to such an extent strong with this good. We just decided we haven't done anything. Now we need to strengthen ourselves in good, to get used to it, to bring new good powers. Good powers to build between us and understand a feeling, a network, that we're connected in a good manner, a good influence on one another, that we're carrying this out between us, that we're in this between us, and after that we begin to see, do we need to truly correct the bad or not? We raise ourselves to a level where we're only thinking toward good. And then we feel from time to time, we feel that something bad is coming up again inside, I feel bad again, etc. And then I have what to overcome. So it turns out that I begin to take this garbage that starts coming up in me, that's disturbing me, thinking about others. I start correcting it. I already have strength, the good strength that I acquired. After I acquired the good strength, Chafetz Chesed, that I don't require anything for myself. With the part that I used to be bad to you, now I turn it to good. Like we had a minus, the bad relation, now I'm transforming it to good. I have the ability to do it with this instrument, this good that I acquired. And if evil comes up, I turn it into good. I wanted to harm you somehow, burn your grass next to your house. I can't stand it that he's so pretty, and nothing works for me. I do it in the opposite manner. I think good about you, how I can help you. And it's truly like that. I try and I try and I try and I do. Meaning all the bad things that were in me, the bad inclinations, now I'm transforming them to good. And in that I begin to flow. And the relation between us, we feel forces of love instead of hatred. Love can only come to correct the hatred. And now we see that the hatred is choking us and not allowing us to continue. I want to tell you two stories that just came up while you were speaking. First of all, about the grass. When I was a child, I lived on a settlement in Moshav. We had a lot of grass. But I had a friend that I was at his house a lot. I was like one of the kids there. The grass was always more softer, more fun, etc. Each time I came to him, I'd say, "Why is the grass at our house like garbage and yours is like silk?" We did lawn mowing in the settlement. So I did it to learn something about. So that's one picture, so that's not important. To ruin, did you try to ruin it? No, but I know I was always sad about it. For years and years and years, they have silky, silky grass. My daughter comes home from school, and she says, a girlfriend told me did this and this, and she wore this and this. She's telling you something bad from school, and I can't connect the words to one sentence. She says, my friend from school made me, told me, or treated me badly, which means we've become used to the people around us create bad sensations between one another on an ongoing basis. And I want to create a situation where I say, let's forget about what happened. So we need to cut off everything that we had up till now, and 10 women will get into a taxi and go to somewhere together and decide, and each one helps her friend. אני אתלבש רגע באישה, באחת מהאנשים, נאמר שאני תופסת את מה שאתה אומר כאן, איך אני נכנסת בתוך הלב שלי? So how do I get inside my heart and rip out of there all the unpleasant things that say Nitsa did to me yesterday, 2 days ago, a month ago, a year ago? I want to go with what you're saying, but give me like a tool. It's sitting inside. What do I do? Say 1 of 10 girls, if all the friends are holding that one friend to be above it, then she will also flow upwards. So explain it. Explain it, please. With talk, the way they relate to her, we decided that we're all trying. She gathered, I don't know about your daughter. I just gave an example about, so say 10 people like her that get together. They're educated, serious women with weight in the society. They have a standard of living and everything. They sit together and they decide, from now on, we are no longer thinking or doing or talking. We are not letting our evil inclination treat anyone badly, anyone sitting here, whoever's sitting here, period. That's one thing. A. B. We are trying with all our might to think well of our friends only, in order so that we'll be able to carry out these two items, no bad and only good, meaning to leave the bad behind, that is somewhere there, and to relate to one another only good. We need the influence of the environment. We don't have strength. If I'm on my own, no. If I'm inside an environment, then I'll be concerned only with the environment. I won't be concerned with myself. I know I'm a result of the environment. I know it won't help me at all to decide something for myself, and that's it. I'm a result of the society. I'm concerned with those 10 people that they'll have good thoughts. And then I need to talk well all the time and give them an example, not just speaking well. I also want to express with that that's what I think, that's how I'm concerned. And I even show them how good I am at this, that I'm doing it precisely. I'm working on myself in this manner to give you them an example, that they don't need to work themselves to relate to others well. And it's natural. Can you give me an example here? Nitsa. Once I, as a friend, said all kinds of things about Nitsa to another friend. Her hair, her eyebrows, her behavior, how she treats children. What you're saying to me now is for yourself. Yes, it used to be like that, but from now on, no. What are we talking about? She only should speak of the nice things. What women talk about, I don't know. I was never in a society like that, that's clear. But you emphasize that you should really overdo it. What's the point? So that they'll feel I'm making an effort, that I will hold on to it. And it's even more important to me, more than my ego and more than my evil inclination. I give an example, this is good and this is bad. And right now, good is more than the bad. I'm giving everyone an example. I'm not just talking nice things and all that. It's as if we turned ourselves off and that's it. No, we have to work at it. Each moment we have to overcome, even in an artificial manner. And then we're influencing one another. And not only are we not talking about good things, we're talking about a society that exists in conditions like this. We show how much we are building ourselves at a new level, a level that is an identification with the general nature, where everything is integral and in balance there, and in general love. The entire universe is one thought of love. Everyone is connected. And we all have the exchange of data and everything. Otherwise, it wouldn't be one system. And we also want to reach balance with nature. We want to feel. It might sound mystical, but there's proof from science. And we are going to carry it out. We're going to feel it, because there's no choice. We want to live in a good society, to make our lives easier, even in an egoistic manner, to make life easier for us. I have a question, man to man. Let's take Nitsa out of this, the women out. If 10 women get into this frequency that you're explaining here now, if I look at them as a man, you will be influenced even more than them, then each one is influenced by their women. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying, let's say 10 women decide. If I understand, you're talking about driving some engine that, like a kite, will take them to a higher and greater level of connection, right up to a point where it's all love. They'll suddenly start to feel that in that they're awakening in the general nature some special power, some integral power. That's what I'm asking about. If they begin doing this, I as a man that will look at them, it's as if I'm, excuse me, but will I see them as prettier? Will I see them sparkling? It depends on your level of correction. Each of them will see the other woman as the princess, as the beauty queen, as the good, as special, pretty, like a diamond. Each one, just like you see your kids. Crimes will be covered by love. So now another question. You said before that in this process, you wanted to hear if they will truly look pretty. They will look pretty in the eyes of others, but not in the manner the way those see others, because the others aren't corrected yet, but they will see them in a much better manner and beautiful. Beauty, their inner beauty, will overcome their external beauty, of course, because it's also, your standards, what's pretty or not. It felt to me that you said before that in this new interaction between them, I felt that there's a lot of power in it. There's everything. In that, you're awakening the general force in the entire system that helps you to correct everything. There's no other force. It's the general force. All our egoistic things remain down. You see how they're all playing in the same garbage on the beach. Now, me as a man, I have a lot of questions. Me as a man, if I run into such a woman, will I feel that there's something in her? She will conquer you in a few minutes. You won't be able to disconnect from her, from a woman that is lit up and she's perfect in her relations to others, and in bestowal like this, from the side of nature. Who are you? You don't control yourself. From the side of nature, you're looking for such a woman. Why is a man attracted to such a woman? What does he feel from her? That is completeness. That's completeness. He feels she's complete. And this buys him. He's like hypnotized. He'll go after her. It's very attractive. All people, it doesn't matter, men, women. Everyone looks, of course, from their perspective. A little bit more. After he becomes hypnotized from such a woman, it doesn't mean that she'll take him sexually, but as a personality. So she actually becomes like a magnet. She has this inner power of perfection. Now you're saying that a man gets glued to it like a child, like a baby. Why? With his mother, because she's radiating perfection like a baby. Now this mother, she built for herself such a strong connection with her friends, the women, that from there she got this power, this perfection. And now she's really become attractive on the inside. And let's say some man is attracted to her. How can she, as a woman, you say she's like a mother and he's like a little child. How can she bring him into this, to the 10 women now? How can she now from this place, which is a great place of strength, it sounds like a point of power, a great influence, how can she now, with her interaction with her man, her relationship with her husband, between her and her husband, how can she bring him into this circulation as well of transitioning from gossiping and bad? He will be corrected by her influence if it's a family, because a family is a group. That's what I'm asking. What can she do now with him? Nothing. She doesn't need to do anything. In the way she relates to everything in life, to him, to the kids, he will receive this radiation from her. He'll be influenced from her in such a way that he'll also change. And the kids as well. So the entire family benefits from that same work that the woman did with the group of women. Let's say they exist together, and if they talk, then it's good. Let's say even the man doesn't want to talk. He has all kinds of urges. I'm the man. How is it possible for a woman to influence me or teach me? But rather the way she relates to life, to kids, to the home, to everything, that she begins to improve. This influences the whole family. Because a family is also like a group. She's there in the same never-ending workshop, just like her friends. Another question. You said before that each of the 10 women, on her own, she has no strength, and she understands that she can't be concerned for herself. She can only be concerned for the other 9 friends, that they'll have good thoughts. So let's see if I understood this. I have things in me and very strong feelings for each of the other 9 women in the circle with me. Even though they're friends of mine, I have things. Everyone. If I understand the instruction that you gave us, I, with the things inside me, that made an internal division between me and others, I leave them aside. They're not going anywhere. It's not my business. What is my business? My business is to raise up each of these friends above their crap. And then each person in the circle doesn't deal with the crap inside. They also don't deal with each other's. They only deal with it to give an example and rise above it. Yes, of course. I don't mean that I'm going to delve inside her stuff. I meant that you made like a trick here. You divided the problems that I have inside me and the place that you defined as the field of work. The idea is to raise everyone up. And you said that what's disturbing you now, the evil inside you towards others, leave it aside. And that becomes the mission of the others. The others have to make sure I rise up. It's like a trick, like you play musical chairs in nursery school. I leave all the garbage inside me and I move on to the next chair. And each of us did that, and it all stays in its place. Do I get it? Let's say. Maybe Nitsa can help me. I understand what you're saying because it's a different dynamic than what we're used to. The usual dynamic is to deal with our own garbage, and you're saying don't even go into your own garbage, leave it. Deal with building some environment that you support other women, and in that manner you rise above your garbage. That's what you're saying, that it's something completely different to what we're used to. I don't really feel your difficulty. I don't understand. these things should become clear when you're doing it. But you'll always have, of course, questions, and we'll go forward with that. So let's say in a group like that, today our subject was slander and gossip. Let's say we discussed it, we thought about it, we're trying throughout this entire week until we meet next time to discuss this subject. How are we discussing it? That's exactly how should we discuss it. First of all, be equipped with love. Before we even reach that room and before we sit down, we sit down and begin to speak, start talking about the good connection above everyone, above the head of each person. The connection has to reach a state where we feel not each person feels herself rising above, but that we begin to feel the connection between us. Meaning we're 10 of us, we feel this 11. The connection between us, that's the reality in itself. There's nothing here about each and every person. We're all connected. We're all concerned from now on only with this unity. We'll call it a ball. That's what we're thinking about. That's where we want to exist, in this mutual love between us. It can only be common, meaning we're always concerned with globally, with integral. All of us together, that's called global. Connected together, that's called integral. That's what we're concerned with. After we reach this, that it's a very important, superior, great, futuristic thing for the entire world. Why do we need to talk about it? Because it gives us strength. We talked about it enough. We glued ourselves to this concept, and now from this point, let's begin thinking what is so bad about gossip, about slander, slightly. To what extent does it put poison into us? To what extent does it disconnect us from one another? How much we suffer? How much inside we awaken? Nerves, blood pressure, all kinds of problems. It ruins the way we look at our life, the whole world. Let's verify why this slander is called bad. Who's it bad for? Me, or for who the person I'm talking about, or for the entire world? What is it about it that's so bad that it brings hatred between people? It spreads like wildfire. All these things, but don't leave this point of love. From that point onward, we will look through it at the evil in the slander. And in this manner, when we verify it, we begin to see all its forms, to what extent it's, at the end of the day, it's ruining the relations between us, that it's the opposite of the trend that we need to advance toward for correction. So first of all, we're concluding that we don't have this thing between us. Lashon hara, slander, it's also talking, thoughts, writing, doing everything. It's called, in general, Lashon hara, slander, because we belong to the speaking level. It's only in us. No other creature has this. Question. When we finish a physical meeting like this, each one goes back to their home and their stuff. We'll be in touch, but we won't be physically together. What is the mission that we need to, what do we need to think about when we each go home, to continue it at home. Can you explain? Can you give instructions, details? I am all the time holding my friends, like by remote control, let's say, that I know that through my thought I'm controlling them. I'm controlling them with my thoughts. That through this, how can we say I'm holding them so they won't forget our mission to always be above the ego? To always be in good relations with the environment. Environment is inanimate, animate, vegetative, and humans, the entire environment. It can't be that a person can only look after humans. He can't corrupt anything. He can't ruin anything. He's changing inside. The relations of love will go to all levels of his desire. The second thing is the fact that I am thinking about them, I'm holding them. Each of us thinks like this about others. I'm concerned that they won't forget, and they themselves will exist above their ego, and they'll also think of me, that I won't forget and I'll hold myself and won't fall into the ego. And I'm also concerned for each of them in the family, as much as I know their families, where they are. I'm concerned that each of them will also behave good inside their family. To radiate this good relation, they'll teach their families correctly. A woman controls the home 100%. There's no secret in that. And this is how each person has to behave. I have kids, I have a husband. This is how I begin to present myself without even speaking with them about it. But the example, the way their attitude, a little bit. And then in this, give an example to others, just examples. Just like kids learn from examples, from looking at us, they look at their parents and it's copy-paste. The same thing here in my family. 10 women, you will correct 10 families. Instead of 10, you'll have 50 people who are already beginning to be influenced from that same point of love. One last question. How do I react if throughout this week we're working, of course there's changes, it's dynamic, and there's ups and downs. Suddenly a friend calls and she's still trying to tell me some gossip that I can smell before she starts talking that it's something. Don't say it to her in her face. How do I react? In a nice manner. How? Talk like her, but only good things. And she will feel it, and she'll take it as an example. You mean don't criticize her, don't show her that she's doing it? Don't awaken her evil inclination. Don't say, I don't want you to tell me something bad. Just awaken the love, awaken the good nature, not the evil nature. If I tell her that she's not okay in something, then the protective power jumps up and she doesn't hear anything. How am I not right? How am I not? Especially among women, because we spoke about it, that they have inferiority complex to begin with compared to men. Men do also, but less. So you can't do that with a man or woman. Never, ever point out the mistakes, the faults. Just bring a silent example without talking. Examples. And such examples they'll learn from. Our time is up. It was fascinating. Thank you very, very much, Rav Leiman. Thank you, Nitzan Mazuz. Thank you as well for being with us. Until next time, only good examples. All the best.